A quick aside here, I was noticing that there's butterflies in the flowers, and then I noticed my beautiful bedless other Ford pickup truck, and then I noticed my Jeep body and thought, hmm, 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 hmm. Hey Jim, I'm about to do something that some people might think is kind of dumb. All right, most of you are going to think this is probably dumb, but I kind of want to change how the front of my $500 Ford truck looks. It's a very plain Jane model. It's kind of worn out. It's got very basic headlights. And I was thinking, maybe I could make it look more like a Jeep. I do have this donor Jeep. So I have some donor parts. Well, I got some tools. So I did a couple of sketches here, just to try to get some sort of an idea of scale. I tried to do some quick sketches. I spent like literally 30 seconds on each of these, so don't expect any great work of art. So that's where I'm figuring the front of the truck starts. And then here's if I take part of the Jeep grill and make it wider and cover up the headlights of the truck with something that makes it look like Jeep fenders, or just use the regular Jeep grill the width it is and fill in everything else. I'm kind of leaning towards the middle one. I really can draw better than any of these. Really. There's my VW Beetle. There's a painting of my Beetle. So I can do better than those sketches. So that means I need to remove this front bumper and this grille, and I need to cover over these headlights and make it just look like a Jeep fender here. And then we're going to use round headlights up in the corners like the Jeep has, and then fill in with the bars here. I think that's what we're doing. Let's get started. So all this stuff came off fairly easily. There were the 4 bolts across the top of the grill. They are 5.5 millimeter. And they're the same size all around here. There were 4 of them holding in each of the trim plates, and then just regular Phillips screws holding in the trim ring on the sealed beam headlights. The grill, once you get those top pieces out, those top bolts here, you can flex it forward, and when you look down, you can see a clip here. And all you can see of the clip when it's in place is just this sharp little edge sticking up. But I stuck a big old pry bar down in there. Yeah, this thing. And caught the edge of the clip and gave it a little bump, and it popped right out because I had a little pressure on the grill. So yeah, out with the old, in with the new. Now I got to figure out how to get this darn bumper off, and their bolts are all rusty. looks like I'm going to have to, let's see, get that one. And then it looks like these two. I'm gonna have to bust out my pneumatic impact, I think. That sure loosened everything up. Those are 18 millimeters. And now the whole bumper's just resting on these tow hooks. So I think if I go inside the fenders and take out one on each side of the one I just showed you, that should make the whole bumper loose, I think. Anyway, these came out relatively easily using I got this thing like 10 years, maybe even 20 years ago. Harbor Freight, cheapest thing ever. I think it was like 10 bucks. And it's just been humming away ever since. It had to pound these out because they were kind of corroded. And they came out and they were pretty hot. But I didn't use any penetrating oil. Let me get those other two. Those other two were 13 millimeters. And they came out with a bit of a struggle, but not too bad. So I'm thinking maybe I can put this piece of trim back in. I just set it in here for now. And maybe just cover over it with some metal. It makes it look like the front of a Jeep fender. I'm just making this up as I go along. I think I'm going to have my headlight clear over here rather than I was thinking over here, but I can't really cut that out. That supports the whole. Well, can I? Maybe I can cut that out. Yeah, this whole thing, it's just plastic. So I'm going to drag over part of the Jeep here and start looking at how this is going to go together. But I absolutely could lose this whole thing if I wanted it to be flat, because this whole thing is curved and the front end of a Jeep is flat. Let's go get the Jeep parts. Whew, getting a little windy. All right, so I can move this hood, and I've got to take these clip things off. So I'll move the hood, and then I think the fenders just bolt to this front end piece. Let me remove the hood. Right. Looks like we've got a bolt there and a bolt there. Looks like there's at least, yeah, there's one more down at the bottom. That one looks like it comes in from the other side, maybe. So just a few, but I'll bet you these are rusted in. Let's find out. I'm keeping my hardware all pretty well sorted out. If it's got a captured nut, I figure out how to uncapture the nut here and then marry the bolt back with its nut. Same with these big bumper things, so that way I might be able to reuse them when I'm putting on my wacky, uglier front end. All right, got those out fairly uneventfully. They were 1/2-inch nut and bolt combinations, and one of them did put up a fight and it ended up breaking, but the rest of them, not so bad. So now that I've got it sitting here, yeah, can you see it? Can you see it? So I think the next step is, this has got a great big deep shroud, so it's metal. So I'm going to take my angle grinder and go around and just cut all of this shroud off of here so I have more of just the flat front. And then I think really what I'm going to need to do is also remove some of this plastic shroud thing, all of it, and then maybe cut this in half this way so I can spread it out a little bit and make it where the headlights end up right about there. That's what I'm thinking. kind of like that. The hood is still in the popped position. I can't close it because of the stupid way I have this hanging here. Yeah, definitely have to cut it in the middle and spread it out where this curve here works its way up into here. And then I can I'll cut the fronts off of these Jeep fenders and use them as the natural fill pieces that will go in here and here and cover here. These pieces of paper where I'm trying to decide if I want to leave like the reflector or anything like that exposed, or even on this side use the original blinker here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to cover all that stuff and put the blinker where it should be on a Jeep. Okay, so cutting. Well, there we go. Cut it in half, spread it out. Looks like it's going to fit pretty good. It'll be a little bit further away from the radiator. Of course, right now it's leaning back. Have to have clearance here for my headlight buckets. I like it. I can see it. Okay, so now I have to just fill in with, I don't know, we'll have to see what. Okay, I'm getting up to the point where I gotta figure out how I'm gonna cut these fenders off, because I've got my grill kind of worked out here. It's just sitting there. I'm kind of thinking this back bumper might work here as my front bumper. It's nice and square. So I'm gonna take these brackets off the back, do a little messing around, see how that works. But see where I'm going here? Well, I went to a kind of a really cool junkyard. Here, let me show you a couple clips up from there. I went there because I needed some headlight assemblies. Look what I got. They came off of what I'm guessing was probably a late 40s, early 50s Ford coupe. But look at that rust. Ah, it's great. It matches. So I think these are 6 volters. I've just barely got them sitting in here. So I'm going to have to open them up and convert them to 12 volt and put a modern 12 volt bulb in there. These guys are pretty crusty. Look at that. I'm pretty sure they're 6 volt. That car sure looked like it would be. I'll have to go back and get some footage of the car I got these off of so I know for sure. First, before I do any disassembly at all, I'm going to try to clean up these wires and test them and see if these lights work. That's pretty cool. It's so old, it's got fabric insulation on the wiring. So we got 3 wires coming in. The black one here is going to be our ground, and then there's going to be a low beam and a high beam. I'm not sure which one is which, but let me figure out a way to patch this into the 6 volt battery I have in the Oldsmobile, the 51 Olds. If you hear anything in the background here, there's a bit of a winter storm going on, and it's very cold, and I just came out here a little while ago and got the fire going, so it'll get warmer soon. But for right now, I think it's still only in the high 40s in here. Yes. 49. Well, here we are underneath the hood of my dusty 1951 Olds Rocket 88. It is an original car. It still has 6-volt generator, oil bath, air filter. Here's a 6-volt battery. So I've got my negative side set up here. I'm going to hook up my positive side. Here's my first headlight to test. So I'll clip on something on the for my negative there and touch the 2 other ones and see what happens. Okay, got her hooked up, I think. Let's see what happens when I touch one of them. Oh, look at that. It works, yay. Touching the other. Okay, high beam, low beam, both work. Nice. So when I take this apart, I'll do it carefully and save those bulbs as spares for this car. Perfect. Okay, here's the other one. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's one. Yep, this one, high beam, low beam, both work too. Nice. Next, I'm going to take out, there's 3 little tiny flatheads spread out. I'm going to take those out, and I should be able to remove this trim ring, and that should be getting us close to getting that lens out of there, or bulb. It has little keyholes where you don't have to take the screws completely out. Just loosen them and then clock it a little bit and it'll lift right out. So then this part of the bucket is the whole aiming thing, which these Phillips screws are where you get your adjustments. So that gets me to removal of the bulb. And there's an old school plug. What I'm going to do is get rid of all this old wiring and put in the modern plug that exists on the 2005 Ford. I'll get back with this once I get some new bulbs. So what I did is I went out to the 2005 Ford and took the plug and installed it in here. So that's the plug from the Ford. And I could have used the old one, but I wanted more modern wires. So I used the original rubber grommet here and just stuck the wires through. I had to cut off this plug in order to fit the wires through. And then this plug plugs right into the Ford, but I'm going to see how much I have to extend these wires because it's a bit further. These are going to be quite a bit inboard from where the original headlights were. But now I've got this nice set of stuff. Oh yeah, definitely match my spark plugs and coils. Electronics from China. Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna put these in. This has got like these little halos. They're supposed to be like a bluish white for daytime running lights. And then when you turn on your blinker, they turn amber and flash. So it's your daytime running lights and a blinker and projector lights. So let's see how this goes. Oh, look at this. That's not the same as my plug, I don't think. Oh, maybe it is. Okay. Well, there we go. Not sure how that's going to help me. Look at that. Snaps right in the bucket like it was made for it. Okay, let's see about Fit the trim ring on. Yeah. Okay. And then this big guy. How's he work here? Got a little groove. There we go. That's going to take two hands. Hold on. Okay. That's how my funny headlights are going to look. I'm going to have to extend now my parking light and my directional wiring into this bucket as well. So let me modify it for that. And I'll see you when I'm putting them in. I decided to test these before going through all the trouble of installing them. And I'm looking at this instructions they sent, and they're describing where their wiring is. And as it turns out, I just put it on the, plugged it into the truck, and it looked like the high beam and the low beam were reversed. So I took their little harness, and I haven't done it to this one yet, but I swapped where the blue and the white are. So I'll do that to this one if this tests out to have fixed it. And the parking lights and the daytime running lights work fine. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my little harness to my headlight and then plug my harness into the stock plug on the truck, and then we'll try the headlight. Okay, I got it patched in. Let me go turn on the lights. There we go. You can see the headlight on the wall. There, it's off. On. That's low beam. High beam. Yep. Now it's wired correctly. Okay, moving on. So now that I've got the wiring sorted out, you'll recall this is my Ford plug, and I just have the 3-wire pigtail sticking out here. And it turns out that if I take my extension here that came with these headlights, and now I have them wired correctly to work with what was in my Ford, I can look here at this plug and duplicate it with this wiring, and then I'm going to just get rid of this blue plug and splice. I'll probably solder them, we'll see, and connect just this onto there without this plug, and then this will reach to my stock plug. Or maybe I can put just some like blades on there and it'll plug right into this plug. That might be cool. Let me try that. In order to route my directional and my parking light or daytime running light into the bucket, I drilled an additional hole, and then I put in a rubber grommet. And then once I have my wires in there, I'll put some sealant on it like I did over here. So, because this is the top of the housing, that'll just stop some stray rain from getting in there. The flowers are long gone, but the project's almost done. I did end up using the Ford pickup truck front bumper on the rear, as you can see. Did a little extension with the floor of the old Jeep. So I think I'm going to put these seats in. I'm going to put the original steering, I'm going to cut it off so it fits, but the original steering wheel with the steering column back in, and that will all go right here. And then, of course, no one will ever ride in those seats. Those are just to be dumb looking. And now I just started working on a fabric roof. It'll probably have sides with plastic windows here. We'll see. I just started working on that. Anyway, The rest of this video is going to be making the bed and putting the Jeep body here on the bed and then attaching this outside stuff. So most of it doesn't have much commentary, and quite a bit, I think, is time lapse. So that's what the balance of the video is. Thanks for watching. I'm getting closer to the correct width, but this is too high. So I'm going to add some of the old bed here to give it some of this curve, at least maybe back here. But it just is too high. The top of this shouldn't be above the bottom of the window. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to just go ahead and remove the rest of this floor structure, and that way I can use these sides and mount them at whatever height I need. I think I'm gonna end up cutting off a big chunk of this bottom, so I would like it if they would all kind of line up, and then I think I'm going to cut this off and extend it back so we have the full long bed here. got my money's worth out of that one.